I'm James Duke. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee, hanging out with 440 Sound, and we are going to go through my rig. So I met Andy Elliott in 2003, right after I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. And the first day I met him, I sent him home with my guitar to work on, to set up, to clean up. I remember driving home and just thought, I just gave that guy my guitar. Hope I get it back. And so, but I saw him the next day and he brought it back and it was cleaned up, set up perfect. I didn't really know how to tell anyone how to set a guitar up for me, so I just said, here you go. And so he did, and it played exactly how I would have wanted it to. And from then I started taking all my guitars up to him to set up. And before then, I never had anybody set up my guitars. And so they just, were always in bad condition from traveling and flying and them getting thrown around and stuff. And so a couple of years into going up and seeing him, he started building guitars, and it was cool to kind of watch him kind of develop as a guitar builder. And so he came out with a few different models, and the one that got the most attention at the time was his Tone Master model. And so I just remember loving that guitar, and I'd go up there and play it, whatever one he was working on or just finished, and it was always so much fun. And so I always really loved Andy and just was a big fan of his. And so then about 6 years ago, he called me and said, I want to make a guitar with you. I want to make a James Duke guitar. And I think I tried to talk him out of it a little bit, but then I decided that why would I not want to do that? And have the opportunity just to build an awesome guitar, exactly what I would want it to be, and have one of the best people in the world make it for me. And so I told him, right off the bat, what, my ideas. And I remember telling him, I want a guitar that kind of has the look of a Mustang, but has like the feel of a Strat, kind of that kind of size body, that kind of contours, and so we just kind of went from there. And over the course of probably a year and a half, 2 years, we kind of slowly got it to the point that it was this guitar right here, the 357. And together we designed the whole thing, and I really love it a lot. It feels great. It feels like a old, just broken in guitar. It looks great, has tons of mojo to it, and I'm just real excited about it. So we did an alder body, maple neck, rosewood fretboard, simple classic sounds. And some of the cool stuff about it that I really love is the pick guards. It's clear acrylic that he hand paints on the bottom, so it looks textured. One of the things I always loved about a Mustang was how there was two separate pieces, and the control plate for the knobs, which was metal for that, had the little seam. And so I wanted to kind of redo that for this guitar. It's got 2 volumes and a tone, which is cool. You can blend the two together, and it really makes the guitar more versatile, and you can get a lot more sounds out of it. And then just a 3-way pickup selector. And I kind of knew looks-wise what I wanted this guitar to look like, even down like I wanted the old vintage style tuning keys. And I knew I wanted the pinstripes like this, and I wasn't quite sure about the pickups, and so I just knew I was gonna. I knew that he would know what it should sound like, and so he knew that I was primarily a Strat Telly kind of player, for as far as solid bodies go, and always primarily a single coil user. And so one day he called me and said, hey, why don't you come up when you can? I think I have your pickups. And so And so I went up there, and he had these two pickups in one of his other guitars, because this guitar wasn't even finished. And he handed it to me, and I plugged it in and played. And from basically like the first chord I strummed, I thought, that's it. And these are gold foil single coils, and they're loud but crystal clear. They cut through really well. You can hit them with lots of gain and run it through lots of different gain stages, and it really just cuts through really well. You always hear the strings, you always hear the notes really clear, and which is one of my favorite things about this guitar. The neck on this guitar is super comfortable, kind of a C shape, so it feels really good in your hands. It's got enough kind of meat to it to where you can really dig into it, but it's not so big like some of the vintage style necks to where you feel like you're playing a baseball bat or something. And so the edges are like nice and rolled, and everything on this neck is basically perfect. And my favorite thing about Andy's guitars are his frets. He does the best fret work and fret jobs, I feel like, that are available that you can find. And they're always just perfect feeling. The edges are always just completely smooth and comfortable, and it just is the kind of neck that just makes you want to keep playing. It feels so good. It is really just inspiring to play. The headstock's cool. It has this classic kind of cutout with the darker wood in there. And so it's just a real classic looking guitar, and it just feels like you've played it forever. From the first time you pick it up, I feel like it feels like an old friend. And so, yeah. This is the Tremolo Model 357. Basically it's identical, but it has a Strat style tremolo on it. I love this because I have played Strats basically my whole life, and there's just something about that kind of tremolo. The sound of it is real familiar, real kind of classic to me, and it just adds a certain quality to the guitar. I feel like if you're used to that kind of guitar. This particular bridge that he uses stays in tune better than any Strat style I've ever played. You can really dive down if you wanted to, and it bounces right back and it's in tune. And so that just makes it way more usable. You know, some guitars you have a tremolo on, you never actually want to use it because you'll just use it a little bit and it goes out of tune, and then you realize like you're playing through a song and you have to finish it and you're out of tune. And so that's always nice to have. But yeah, specs are the same, and it just has a slightly different vibe with that tremolo on it. And this is my pedal board, this is my pedal board for today and every day. This is the incarnation of the day, and so we'll talk about it a little bit. Anyway, Dinah comp, JHS modded Dinah comp. I believe it's the Ross mod, and I love it. I use it more like a clean boost. Those are the two settings. There's only two knobs. It's real easy to remember. It's probably why I use it a lot. And then I have a Rainbow Machine, which is one of my favorite pedals that has come out in the last, I don't know, I think I've had this for like 5-6 years, maybe more, I don't know. It's been out for a while and I love it. Got your normal chorus sound. It's got your, I don't know exactly what the secondary and primary knobs do, but if you move them, they do cool stuff. The tone knob, it's cool. The tracking is more of like the delay style of it. And so it goes from like a slap back to a little bit less of a slap back. I guess that's how I would describe it. Slap back, faster or slower slap back, and you can decide with that knob right there. And then the magic button is awesome. And this is the knob that tells you how much magic you want for what you're playing. And then if you move the pitch around, it will do all kinds of dive bombs, or what's the opposite of a dive bomb? Instead of going, sometimes it'll go down the note, and then, or you can set it to go up. So whatever that is, it does that too. And then I go into these are my overdrives. This is the newest. I've always had a 2-screamer on my board because Stevie Ray Vaughan. And so this one has every tube screamer. It's very cool. It's called a Bonsai. And I use the TS9 a lot. I'm not sure which exact one Stevie Ray liked, but I'm saying I use the TS9. And then there's a JHS Morning Glory, which I use. It's usually my second gain stage, and I stack these a lot. Kind of widens it, gets a little bit bigger, kind of more focused, cool sound. This is an Analog Man Sun Face for my fuzz sounds. If I choose to have one, I use that right now. And then, I think after that I'm going into a volume pedal, which is just a volume pedal that makes your volume go up and down. And then it goes into the tap-a-whirl here, which I use a lot. And I like this. I've used a tap-a-whirl for a long time. And I like that you can hold this button down and make it go slow or make it go fast. It's my favorite part. Delays, same old, got girls, I call my delays girls. They, DD20, Memory Man. Yeah, I stack them a lot. I usually have more, it's more about delays being stacked than like a huge reverb. I'll add a little bit of reverb with this RV5 here, or whatever else, but it's always a RV5, let's be honest. And then, but these two are awesome, and I love stacking them together or using them on their own. They sound awesome. And then a tuner for tuning. These, I'm using D'Addario long cables, instrument cables. And then, I guess that's what you call them. And then these are lava cables that I've had for years and years and years, and they work still. And that's why I use them. So the amp I used for this, and I try to use for almost everything, is this Matchless Chieftain that I've had for a long time. It's a 96 model, and yeah, I've used this amp on almost everything I've done or toured with or anything. And so I love this amp. I love amps that just have good headroom, good clean headroom, and that you can, I feel like this is a perfect amp just to hit it with all kinds of sounds and effects and stuff, and it just always sounds good, and it just maybe presents them in a really cool way for me. And so, yeah, this is the amp that I kind of judge all other amps against. And yeah, I set it kind of just clean, not too, actually I don't even really crank it very much. And yeah, I just love it a lot. Yeah, as you can see, the volume's about 10 o'clock. Bass, mid, treble, they're all set kind of usually halfway up, 1 o'clock. the brilliance knob, I used to just always play it with it all the way turned off, and now I turn it to here. And it just adds a little bit of sparkle to it, I think, maybe. I don't use any reverb, and that's just the master volume that sits right there. Real easy to remember. So that's my amp. And for mics for this, we used a Royer 121 and a Shure Unidyne 3 vintage, and they sound awesome together, and it's a great combination. So that's it. We did it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow 440 Sound on Instagram and subscribe on the YouTube channel, and be on the lookout for more videos and good stuff. Is that good? Want me to do anything else?